Alright, so if you've been following along so far, we started designing our login page here. By the way, if you haven't followed along in the last couple lessons, something you can do, whether in this lesson or in future lessons, you can go to the mockups over here in the resources file of this design project that we're working on. And then you'll see, according to the lesson, the latest file, the latest Figma file we worked on in that lesson. So go ahead and get started with this if you haven't already. Otherwise, just head back into your Figma file and continue along. In this lesson, we're going to explore how we can add images and actually go ahead and add a background image as well as our logo from the Clean Kangaroo app right here as well. So in general, whenever you're designing a project and you're looking for photos to use, I highly recommend Unsplash here. They're, as they say, the internet source of freely usable images. So all the images that you search are free to use. I use this for some of my projects and I highly recommend you to go check it out and see if there's an image in there that you want to use for your future projects. So I've used Unsplash to actually download an image. So to find that image, go to the resources folder of this project that we're working on, and again, you can find that at the very beginning of this section. So go ahead and open images, find the login page, and then you'll notice there's a background image in here. So let's go ahead and switch over to Figma while having our folder here. So this background's JPEG. Figma allows you to import JPEG, PNG, SVG, and even PDF. And the easiest way to do so is just to go ahead and drag your image right into your Figma file. This image is huge, so it takes some time to load. You'll notice that it's completely going outside of the frame. So what I'm going to do is actually hold Shift and Alt, and then go ahead and resize it. By now, you probably know what Shift does. It will keep the proportion so the image doesn't get distorted. But what Alt does is actually helps us keep the position or the centeredness of this picture so that when I resize it, it's not going to the corner there. Otherwise, if I let go of Alt and only hold Shift, as you can see, it's way off my frame. So that's why we're using Shift and Alt. I think that's good right here. Let's go ahead and just bring it down, and let's actually zoom in a little bit more. I think that's good for now. One thing to mention is that you can crop images because, as you can see, the image is huge and it's covering more space than it needs to. So let's go and choose the crop tool from up here. And once we're in the crop tool, we can go ahead and just move these blue corners here, and that will help us get the size that we need. I think it looks good. It's fitting perfectly. You can also access more image tools here as well. You can edit all of these when you go here to the right and click on this image tool. And from there, you can tweak your crop if you made a mistake and you want to change it now. Or you can do things such as improve the contrast, saturation, temperature, just kind of simple image editing tools that you'll get in a lot of the design applications. You can also rotate the image from here as well. One thing to mention here is that right now we have crop selected because that's how we cropped our image. But if we do fill, so what fill will do is try to go ahead and put that image within that bounding box that we have right now. If we do fit, it will try to proportionally do the same thing. So because this image originally is in this proportion, it will try to keep that in the fit type over here. You could do tile if you want to do multiple. So this is really big, but if I do, let's say 2% or 3%, essentially have this image repeat itself. That might work for like maybe a background of patterns, but for this case, I think crop will do the job. So let's just use crop and then close this over here. Now you'll notice my background image is covering everything else. So let's select the background image here, bring it all the way down. And now it's right underneath all my layers here, which is what I want. I also want to add an overlay on top of this image so that the foreground over here doesn't blend with the background that we have. To add an overlay, go to where it says fill. You'll see right now it's image. Make sure to have the image selected, by the way. Then go ahead and hit the plus icon in fill. And right now it's giving us a gradient. So if you want to add a gradient to your image, you can do that. But I want to just go ahead and choose solid over here. The overlay is on top of our picture, but we can't see anything. So let's bring the opacity down so we can see parts of the image. And let's go ahead and choose a darker color. We go black, and then now the opacity is way too high here. So let's do maybe 50%. I think that's good. So there you have it. We've added our image to the background here. Now let's go ahead and add our logo. So again, from the resources section, you'll see we have a logo folder over here. Let's go ahead and drag this colored one here. And let's just go ahead and use Shift Alt and resize that again. I think maybe 80 by 80 should be good. Just gonna zoom in here a little bit. And let's use the horizontal align center over here, which is the second option in the alignment tools. And that will automatically center your image inside of your frame. I'm gonna bump it up a little bit, maybe add a spacing of 70 to the top. And then using T, I'm gonna add text for my logo. Let's do clean kangaroo, and then make sure you select everything and then bump the text size to 26. And I think that looks good. Change the fill to white here. And just go ahead and center that along with the logo here. I think that looks good. Now you might have noticed that everything's kind of floating around on their own. Nothing's really related here. And what Figma allows us to do in the layers is to group things that are relevant together, so that if we make changes to them or if you want to move them around, for example, let's say I want to move this email field, instead of just moving the box and then moving the text, I can just go ahead and group them together and move them together, or apply styles together and all sorts of different things. So to do so, select your rectangle. While holding Shift, select your text. Now you can see that I have both selected because both have this little blue tinted background. Use Command G or Control G on Windows to group things together. And let's do the same for password. For the login button over here. And then let's do the same thing for the separator we have over here. Sign up with email. Sign up with Google. I think everything's grouped together except for my logo here. So let's do the same thing here as well. And let's go ahead and rename all of these. You can rename groups by just double clicking on the layers panel here. So let's do logo. And let's go ahead and just kind of follow convention here to add a hierarchy that makes sense. So let's go ahead and first place our group 1, and then our group 2, which is the password, group 3, 4, 5, 6, and then let's rename the rest. Email, password, login button, divider, and let's do sign up email button, sign up Google, button, and then let's just go ahead and name this our background, and actually let's lock it in place as well so we don't accidentally move it around. Cool. I think that looks good for now. Now we know how to add images. Let's come back and add some icons because as you can see in my sketches here, I have some icons for the tutorial, for the email and password. And then we'll add the rest of the stuff for the login page and then go ahead and finish it up in the next lesson.